One, my boyfriend, his first love, and I got into a car accident. I went blind, she got a fracture. But then, around the hospital corner, I heard my boyfriend calling his brother. Bro, take care of Linda for me as if you were me. She went blind, and we sound the same. She won't notice. I need to take Shirley abroad for surgery. You know, she depends on me. His first love asked him, are you really okay with leaving your girlfriend with your brother? Ken laughed. My brother and she are both very traditional. They wouldn't do anything inappropriate. Hiding in the corner, my lips trembled, and I shed silent tears. Ken, how does he know I like his brother? When he returns, hoping to propose, his brother Alan, holding me, laughed dimly. Your future sister-in-law is already showing, and you still can't get over it. At 2 a.m., I suddenly got a call from Ken. It was noisy on the other end, his brother speaking urgently. Ken got into a fight at the bar. You should come quickly. Then he hung up. I didn't know why he wanted me there, but I got up and threw on a jacket, left, and hailed a cab to the bar. I searched for the box number from my phone. When I pushed open the door, a mix of smoke and alcohol hit me. The music paused when they saw me. Ken was in the center, surrounded by others. Look, she really came just with a call. See, she's even in pajamas. She loves Ken so much. Shirley held a wine glass and scolded Ken. Ken, you're so mean. I told you to trick her, and you really did. Ignoring their mockery, I just stared at Ken. Seeing he wasn't hurt, I sighed in relief. You're okay, that's good. Hearing me, the room burst into laughter again. A real doormat. Can you introduce her friend to me? I had a hangover soup in my hand. I walked around them, placing it in front of Ken. I won't bother you guys anymore. As I turned to leave, Ken suddenly pulled me onto his lap. I could smell the strong alcohol, and I leaned back, frowning slightly. He looked into my eyes, smiling. Are you mad? I paused, shaking my head. No, they were right. I was a doormat for Ken, and I had been one for 6 years. From middle school to high school, always at his beck and call. Every morning, I brought him breakfast, water during basketball practice, and bought milk tea for his new girlfriends. From middle to high school, besides studying, it was all about Ken. I thought I'd finally get peace when he went abroad after high school, and I started college. Unexpectedly, Ken chose the same university as me. He even confessed to me. Well, sort of. Linda, you've chased after me so long. We'll be together now that high school is over. His friends cheered. Wow, she really made it. Linda's something else. This is the first time Ken asked someone out. Not far away, Shirley watched with a dark expression. I didn't expect it. I was stiff, unsure how to react. I said I needed to think and ran home. Maybe my devotion made him believe I liked him. Dad was thrilled when I got home, excitedly saying he got promoted, and his salary increased by $1 million. Mom came to my room, cautiously saying Alan wanted me to keep an eye on Ken, not let him mess around. She increased my allowance by $10,000 a month. When Ken asked for my answer, I agreed. I thought I wasn't losing out. Ken had numerous girlfriends from middle to high school, none lasting over a month. I'd probably be dumped soon. Plus, our financial status improved because of him. I waited to be dumped. I didn't expect it to last 2 years. Later, I found out he asked me out to spite Shirley. He didn't like me much, at least in my opinion. He probably kept me because I was obedient, and my breakfasts suited his taste. His relationship with Shirley was always complicated. They knew each other too well, from childhood to now, but they argued constantly. He'd anger Shirley to stomach pain, then send me to her dorm with medicine late at night. When they made up, he'd ask me to buy her favorite cake from the campus gate. They were on and off, and I felt like part of their game. Shirley often asked Ken, if Linda and I fell into water, who would you save? Ken, holding my shoulder, said lazily, I'd save my girlfriend. Why would I save a tomboy? You wouldn't save me. You're dead. Shirley chased after him, angry. I just stared at Ken's side profile, silent. He pinched my cheek, laughing. What? Moved. I stayed silent, because I knew Ken wouldn't choose me. Soon, my instincts proved right. On a rainy day, Shirley drove us for a summer social practice. At an intersection, a car suddenly sped up, crashing into us. Shirley's car was hit violently to the side. My head slammed into the window, my brain buzzing, disoriented, a wave of pain. My ears were ringing, and my vision blurred into black and white. I felt a surge of fear and unease. I vaguely saw Ken banging on the window like crazy. He forcefully yanked the car door open. Ken, I called out weakly, barely audible. But Ken just bypassed me and carried Shirley out of the car. Shirley clung to Ken's neck, crying, while Ju Hui consoled her. Ken held Shirley without even glancing at me. I struggled to maintain consciousness and grabbed at Ken's clothing with a weak hand. Only then did he finally notice me. He said to me, "Linda, the ambulance is coming soon. Just hold on a bit longer. My sports car only seats 2. And she's more badly hurt than you." After that, he walked away with Shirley in his arms. I was left alone in the car. Suddenly, I felt an unprecedented panic. The light in front of me gradually faded away. Right before I lost consciousness, I wanted to scream at Ken's departing back carrying Shirley. I could have laid down in the trunk. I was awake, but it felt like I wasn't. There was a strong smell of disinfectant around me, but I couldn't see anything. It was pitch dark. Why was there no one around? I felt an intense anxiety. I climbed out and stumbled forward, feeling around. I seemed to bump into a wall ahead, but I couldn't touch anything. Just when I thought there was nothing in front of me, I tripped over something. Finally, I managed to get out of the door, and I heard Ken's voice. I pressed against the wall, trying to move closer to the sound. "Shirley, don't cry. It's just a fracture." "Why do you cry as much as Linda?" Shirley sobbed and shouted. "I have a huge scar on my face. My leg is broken. I'm never getting married now. Will you marry me?" I heard Ken's voice soften. "It's no big deal. If you can't get married, I'll marry you. I'll go with you to the U.S. for surgery. I'll make sure both your leg and face are as good as new." Shirley asked, "What about your girlfriend Linda?" I heard Ken nonchalantly reply, "I'll call my brother and ask him to take care of her." My fingers gripping the wall turned white. Soon, Ken dialed his brother Alan. "Hey bro, could you take care of Linda for me? She's blind now." Our voices are the same. She won't notice the difference. I'm taking Shirley abroad for surgery. You know how she's been with me since we were little. She can only rely on me. My breathing quickened. Ken had the phone on speaker. Since losing my sight, I had become more sensitive to sounds. It sounded like Alan was in a meeting. After a pause, a voice similar to Ken's, but more refined came through. He said, "Sure, but don't regret it." With the affirmative, Ken laughed in relief. "Thanks, bro." I swayed, my fingertips digging into the wall. Tears streamed down my face. "Ken, how did he know I liked his brother? Could there be such a stroke of luck? Was this my reward after being mistreated by Ken for so many years?" My heart pounded with excitement as I carefully made my way back to the hospital room. I settled into bed peacefully, waiting for Ken's brother Alan to pick me up. In Shirley's room, she asked Ken, "Are you sure you're leaving your girlfriend with your brother?" Ken chuckled. "My brother and she are both very traditional. They won't do anything improper. I know their character very well." Shirley stared at him. "Seems like you don't care much about Linda. If Linda finds out it's your brother, let's see if you can still laugh." "Who says I don't care about Linda? I'm just taking Shirley for surgery first. When I return, I'll make it up to her. Linda is gentle. It'll be easy to appease her." Shirley turned away, not looking at him. "I'll be waiting to see you fail." I recalled the first time I met Alan. It was during our sophomore year in his villa on the hillside. Ken was hosting a pool party there. I wasn't from their circle, but Ken invited me anyway. I wanted to find an excuse not to go, but Ken shoved me into his car. I thought such a big villa wouldn't miss a servant like me, so I found a corner to do my homework. After finishing my homework, the party was still going, so I found a place to sleep. When I woke up, it was already midnight, and Ken and the others had left. Ken had forgotten about me again. Accepting my bad luck, I sat at the villa's gate with my backpack, trying to use my phone to find a ride home. The weather was unpredictable, and it soon started to rain lightly. I curled up, hugging my arms. The place was too remote. No one accepted my ride request. Ken's phone was unreachable. Just as I was wondering how to get home, someone walked towards me with an umbrella. I looked up. Black leather shoes, straight and perfectly fitted suit pants, and a tailored suit jacket. As the person got closer, they tilted the black umbrella towards me. I looked up. He was very tall, a few inches taller than Ken. His features were deep set, with a high nose and thin lips, carrying an air of restrained depth. He somewhat resembled Ken. He must be Ken's brother, Alan. "Are you Linda, Ken's classmate?" The man's voice was low and pleasant. Although he stood above me with an authoritative presence, his eyes lacked any coldness or disdain. He looked at me gently. I nodded, trying to stand, but my legs were numb from sitting too long. Alan patiently reached out his hand to me. He was completely different from Ken, acting like a true gentleman. I stood up with his help and almost fell into his arms. Thankfully, I controlled myself, or it would have been too embarrassing. Alan let me stay in his villa for the night, and he even took me to school the next day. Since that day, I have always dreamed of him. I wanted to get into a good college so that next time I could meet him again, looking more presentable. But things don't always go as planned. In college, I got together with Ken. I saw Alan more often, but I didn't dare to look at him as openly as I did the first time. In the hospital room, the doctor told Alan that I had hit my head, causing damage to my oculomotor nerve. But luckily, it wasn't serious, and recovery was just a matter of time. I wanted to go home to recover. I really didn't like the smell of disinfectant and the oppressive environment of the hospital. Your parents are on a business trip with your brother. No one can take care of you if you go home. How about staying with me? Can I take care of you, Linda? His voice was clear and gentle, carrying a magical calmness that could win anyone over. I was a bit stunned and slowly nodded. My hand was sweating. I could even smell the woody fragrance of Alan's cologne. He was probably dressed the same as when we first met, wearing a well-tailored shirt and custom black dress pants, smiling at me politely, exuding sophistication. I almost called out Alan's name instinctively and almost slipped up. Thankfully, Alan interrupted me. It was probably because Alan was also worried that if I called him Ken, he would slip up too. My ears felt a little hot as I softly called in his direction, Alan. Inside, I felt a torrent of emotions. Alan held my hand and carefully guided me out of the hospital and into the car. Once in the car, I realized I might have a bit of a trauma response to vehicles. There was a sudden sharp turn, and I toppled over onto Alan. I felt uneasy, not knowing what had just happened. My heart raced, and I clung tightly to his waist. Alan patted my back comfortingly. Don't be scared, it's okay. It was just a turn. Lee, go slower. He smelled so clean and comforting, so different from Ken's cigarettes and alcohol. Since Alan agreed to take care of me as Ken, then right now, he was my boyfriend. Darkly, I thought, maybe I could have a love affair with Alan in secret. My phone vibrated inappropriately. I handed it to Alan, asking him to check. I couldn't see anything, and I didn't even know how to use my phone. It's your mom calling. He helped me answer it. From the other end came cheerful music. They were probably at Disney with my brother today. Linda, how did it go with Ken today? Will you be able to intern at his family's company over the summer? Mom, I was in a car accident today, and my eyes are temporarily blind. I might not be able to intern this summer. My voice cracked with a bit of choke at the end. Oh no, what about Ken? Was he also in the accident? Is he okay? I stayed silent for a few moments before answering. He's fine. That's good. You need to nurture your relationship with Ken, okay? Before my mom could finish, Alan took the phone from me. Did you not hear? Your daughter was in a car accident and got hurt, and you're more worried about Ken than your own child's injuries. Alan's tone was calm, but carried a cold edge. Oh, Linda got hurt. How are you now? My mom's voice sounded awkward. I sniffled, trying to answer, but Alan beat me to it. Hypocrite, he muttered before ending the call. Alan looked at me. Are you mad at how I spoke to your mom? I shook my head. I knew Alan was standing up for me. I had gotten used to my parents ignoring me over the years. A warm hand suddenly patted the top of my head. It's okay. I'll always be here for you from now on. My heart raced, happiness swelling up uncontrollably. Then I felt a bit down, wondering if he said that as part of pretending to be Ken. Alan switched my phone to blind mode, guiding me step by step on how to use it. When we got to Alan's place, he walked me through the room layout and the bathroom essentials. While walking, I bumped into a table corner, but surprisingly, it didn't hurt as much as I expected. Curious, I reached out. It was soft. It turned out to be cushioned corner guards. All the furniture in the room had these cushion strips, and the bathroom had anti-slip mats. Alan was so thoughtful and efficient. Or maybe it was his team. Maybe he just mentioned it, or someone on his team suggested it. I felt happy staying there. Thankfully, it was summer, with 2 months left. My eyes should recover by then. But then I worried about something else. If my eyes got better, I wouldn't have an excuse to stay at Alan's anymore. During my stay, Alan would help me downstairs for meals, carefully serve me food, and wish me good night before bed. I couldn't help but savor the feeling of his warmth whenever he held my hand or got close enough for me to catch his scent. A sudden thunderclap in the living room startled me. I jumped, dropping the glass cup in my hand, which shattered on the floor with a sharp noise. Alan quickly rushed out upon hearing the sound. Are you okay? He walked over to me quickly. Panicked, I squatted down, feeling around in the air, anxiously trying to clean up the mess. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Alan grabbed my hand just as it touched the ground, lifted me up effortlessly, and I gasped. He carried me to the sofa. Don't apologize. It's just a glass cup. Someone will clean up the glass shards. Next time, don't touch them, okay? You could get hurt. I looked blankly towards Alan and mumbled, I don't want to trouble you. For how is that possible, Linda? My ankle was gripped by a large hand, and I could feel his body heat on my skin. Alan squatted in front of me, holding my ankle and checking if it was cut by the shattered glass. Suddenly, another clap of thunder sounded, and I trembled uncontrollably. It's not that I'm afraid of thunder. I just have a naturally sensitive constitution that's easily startled by sudden noises. Outside, the rain drizzled continuously, accompanied by the rumbling of dull thunder. Afraid of thunder, he noticed my tremble. I clenched my hand, wanting to be brave for once. I took a deep breath and spoke. You say you're my boyfriend. So can you stay with me tonight? I regretted it as soon as the words left my mouth, feeling like I was about to cry. Alan was kindly taking care of me for Ken, yet I had the nerve to ask him to stay with me. How shameless of me. Alan is such a clear and upright person. How could he possibly agree? Okay, don't be afraid. I'll stay with you tonight. I was stunned. He actually agreed. My eyes brimmed with tears of shame, on the verge of falling, but just stayed there. I started to feel a bit hesitant again, but Alan had already carried me to the bed. He held me in his arms. Alan leaned against the bedhead, and I hugged his waist, my head resting on his chest. Go to sleep, I'll be here. I sleep really well, and hugging someone I like. I quickly fell asleep. It wasn't Alan's bedtime yet. He took his iPad to browse through tomorrow's work schedule. A notification popped up. It was a voice message from Ken. Alan put on his earphones. Bro, I have arrived in the U.S. The weather forecast says there will be thunderstorm in a city tonight. Linda is afraid of thunder. Now that she's blind, she'll definitely be more scared. Alan looked down at Linda's sleeping face close to his chest. His hand around her waist tightened. Don't worry, she's sleeping soundly. Ken continued to chatter in voice messages. Bro, you have no idea. The first time I found out someone is actually afraid of thunder. It was during a night study session. A sudden thunderclap scared Linda, and she shuddered like a frightened rabbit. Bro, I mean, how could someone be so timid? Alan frowned slightly and typed. Knowing she's timid, you still left her behind. Ken's voice became noticeably softer. I can't just ignore Shirley. Bro, can you take a photo of Linda for me now? It's only been a couple of days, but I miss her already. Alan raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? Yeah, Linda's a deep sleeper. She won't notice. Linda loves me so much. She must be missing me a lot too. It's a good thing I have you to be with her. If it's inconvenient now, you can take it during the day. Since you said so, I'll send it to you later. Ken saw the photo his brother sent, glanced at Shirley who was doing leg rehabilitation, and quietly left the room. He took out his phone, opened and enlarged the picture. In the photo was only the side of the girl's face, her bangs messy, her sleeping pose quiet and docile. She's so cute, Ken muttered. He long pressed the photo to save it. As he zoomed in, he felt puzzled. How come Linda's pillow doesn't match her bedding? It's in dark color. Well, the lover boy can't forget his little sweetheart even while accompanying me for surgery. Shirley leaned against the door, mocking him. Ken showed her the photo. Look, Linda's lost weight without me by her side. He concluded. She really loves me. Shirley looked at the photo, then couldn't help but laugh out loud. Congrats, your girlfriend's got a husband now. Look at the fabric she's resting on. It's clearly a man's pajamas. Ken snatched the phone back angrily. Impossible. Who knows Linda better than me? She's too shy even to let me hold her hand. Besides, this photo was taken by my brother. Everyone knows my brother's a cold fish. Linda living at my brother's place. Maybe she somehow got my pajamas to keep herself company. He looked deeply at the photo again, and gently touched the side of the girl's face in it. Shirley felt somewhat complicated emotions. To hide her own disappointment, she mocked Ken again. Hope you stay this narcissistic forever. It was within Alan's expectations that Ken didn't realize the pajamas were his. He didn't want to reveal too much too soon. He didn't want Linda to see his darker side. All he wanted was to stay by her side, no matter in what capacity. In my sleep, I heard Ken's voice. Is he asking me to bring him some hangover soup again? Wait, no. He went abroad with Shirley. He won't come looking for me. I sighed in relief, but suddenly, I remembered my parents' words. Linda, Alan likes you a lot. Even if not for the family, for the sake of your brother, you must work hard to win Ken's favor. Understand? You must be accommodating and smooth in dealing with people. We've invested so much in you, sending you to such an expensive school. Make good connections with your classmates. They'll be good network assets in the future. Especially Ken. He is a prince. One word from him can decide our family's fate. Pamper him as much as you can. Linda, our family relies on you. My frown deepened, feeling suffocated. Someone held me tightly, smoothing my furrowed brow. So warm. Oh right. I'm at Alan's place. Here there are no parents, no Ken. I don't need to please anyone here. I can be myself. 5. Although it was brief, I decided to avoid facing reality for as long as I could. I felt my eyes slowly getting better. They could sense the light. Alan even installed an elevator at home to make it easier for me to go up and down the stairs. But after the accident left me blind, I felt like I had separation anxiety. When Alan went to work, I felt extremely anxious and lonely at home, like I was cut off from the world. I was scared I might never see Alan again. Scared Ken would come back. Scared our relationship would become distant like before. When I heard the sound of a car engine, I immediately headed to the door with my cane, waiting for Alan. Are you having a headache, Mrs. John said you didn't eat much today. Alan took my hand and led me to the living room. I hesitated, then told him I wanted to go out with him the next day. Alan agreed. The next day, he took me to his office and gave me a pair of sunglasses to protect my eyes from the light. His secretary was very considerate. She helped me download an audiobook app and prepared snacks and fruit on the table. She even helped me put on the headphones. But Alan stopped her. Play it out loud. No need for headphones. Her concussion hasn't fully healed. Okay, Alan. The secretary took away the headphones and adjusted the volume for me. So, while Alan was working, I was listening to a romance novel about a domineering CEO. I was at an interesting part when a call interrupted. I fumbled to answer it. It was our class president. Linda, why didn't you reply to my messages? Do you have time now? Can you help me with a freshman orientation form? I knew you would help. I'll bring you a special treat from my hometown when school starts. I was scratching my head, trying to come up with an excuse. Someone took the phone from me and answered. Sorry, you should handle your own tasks. Linda can't help you right now. Alan hung up the phone. You need to learn to say no. It's not shameful to refuse others. Your life isn't meant to please everyone. It's to treat yourself well. Learn to express your discontent. Be brave enough to say no to unreasonable demands. Okay. I was stunned. No one had ever told me that before. I've always had trouble refusing people, even when they made me uncomfortable. I kept thinking that if I endured it long enough, maybe they would see my kindness and reward me. But that's not how it works. They just demand more and more. But I didn't know how to refuse. I silently encouraged myself. Next time, I'll say no. During the weekend, Alan stayed home with me. I woke up from a nap and realized I could see blurry objects, like there was a layer of fog over my eyes. Excited, I ran downstairs to find Alan. I saw his back in the garden. I ran over and hugged his waist from behind. Alan, my smile froze. The scent was wrong. It wasn't Alan. The person grabbed my hand. Linda, you can see now. I froze. My blood turned cold. It was Ken. Why did he come back? Why so soon? Couldn't he and Shirley live well abroad? Why come back to find me? I didn't want my peaceful life to be disturbed again. Linda, are you still unwell? Why aren't you saying anything? What could I say? Could I tell him to go back to Shirley? That I wanted to keep living with his brother? But I was too weak. Alan was just taking care of me for Ken. I'd already been a burden to Alan. I shouldn't ask for more. Luckily, Ken had to go back to Shirley's rehab by nightfall. I breathed a sigh of relief in bed. I hoped Ken could stay with Shirley for a few more days. That night, I took some medicine and went to sleep early. Suddenly, I felt a hand touching my face. I didn't like the feeling. I instinctively frowned and moved away. The person's fingers stiffened for a moment. Then they stayed by my bed for a while before leaving. Half asleep, I felt the mattress sink slightly next to me, and the pillow rustled. The familiar scent was there, clean with a slight woody bitterness. A strong arm wrapped around my waist, pulling me close. He buried his face in my collarbone, breathing deeply to calm himself, a slight sob in his throat. Warm tears slid down my neck. In my drowsiness, I heard Alan saying, Linda, don't leave me. Even in my dream, Alan would cry and fear losing me. Wait, this doesn't seem like a dream. I turned to face Alan, our foreheads touching. I put my hand on his face and felt the dampness. Alan, why are you crying? Oh no. I called the wrong name and exposed myself. My heart raced like a child caught lying. Linda, did you always know I was Alan? I could only nod stiffly. I felt anxious, sinking to the bottom of my heart. Even though I knew from the start he was Ken's brother, I treated him like a boyfriend, sharing intimate moments behind Ken's back. How could I? I despised myself. What would Alan think of me? Suddenly, I felt a soft, warm touch on my lips. Gentle kisses, lingering and tender. I opened my eyes wide, breathing heavily. It was like I'd lost all my senses, except the feeling on my lips. How nice. Maybe it's not just my wishful thinking. What does it mean? Does Alan like me? My mind was spinning. No way. I'm so ordinary. yet I heard him say, "Linda, I've liked you for a long time." 6. I was stunned, dazed by that sentence. I checked multiple times to make sure I wasn't dreaming. Someone confessed to me, but my first reaction was to run away. My palms were sweating, and I was too nervous to respond. "What should I say?" Alan chuckled softly. "Just say you like me too." I was taken aback. "Right, I do like him. What am I afraid of? What am I avoiding?" I decided to be brave. I dived into Alan's arms and hugged him tightly. "I like you too." My ears were burning. The next day, I sent Ken a voice message breaking up with him. Basically, I wished him and Shirley well and ended things between us. I didn't know if being the one to break up would hurt his pride, given that no one had ever dumped him. But if I didn't, who knows how long Ken would drag this out. I was done playing this game with him and Shirley. After sending the message, I finally did something I'd wanted to do for a long time. I blocked Ken. Once I blocked him, I felt a sense of clarity and relief. No more late night calls from him. After that, I called my parents to tell them I broke up. Otherwise, they kept pestering me about my relationship with Ken. On the other end of the phone, my mom, who had been joking with my brother, suddenly got serious when she heard my news. "Did you agree to it? Linda, don't you dare agree to break up. You need to cling to Ken. You have no idea how many people envy your relationship with him. When you marry into that family." I interrupted. "I'm the one who brought up the breakup." I knew my mom was about to lose it, scolding me for being ungrateful and not considering their feelings. But I insisted. "I'm an adult. I don't like Ken at all. Why should I listen to you and try to please him when I'm unhappy around him? From now on, I'll make my own choices." After venting, my hands were still shaking when I hung up. I took a deep breath. Saying those words felt amazing. My life before was so suffocating. Alan was right. I should have learned to say no earlier. A little while later, my mom sent a text. Mom was furious. "Linda, if you don't try to reconcile with Ken, don't bother coming home." All these years, my only value to them was my connection to Ken, wasn't it? These days, whenever Alan has free time, he takes me for acupuncture. My eyes get better each day, though they're still sensitive to strong light. At night, Alan and I go for walks. We hold hands and wander aimlessly. We chat about anything, even a strange-looking rock. Even in silence, it's not awkward. We just enjoy the synchronized heartbeat. Walking with someone you like feels intimate and cozy. Doing ordinary things with someone you love makes me so happy. In the perfect moment, I stood on my toes and kissed him under the streetlight. Alan smiled and hugged me. Then he paused for a moment. "Alan, what's wrong?" I asked, puzzled. "Nothing, it's just windy. Let's go home." Close by, Ken clenched his fists, his knuckles cracking. He suddenly realized it was Alan. Linda called Alan that day, mistaking him for Ken. "Brother, you like Linda." Ken forced out the words from between his teeth. "Only now you realize." "Haven't I made it obvious, brother? I trusted you, yet you went after my girl." Ken's eyes burned with fury. "Last time you sent me that photo, was Linda in your bed?" "No, I was in hers," Alan corrected. Ken lost control. "You knew she was my girlfriend. Your own brother's girlfriend." Alan laughed mockingly and countered. "And you? You knew your girlfriend was injured and blind, yet you left to be with your first love abroad. Did you ever think of her as your girlfriend?" Ken slumped down. "Bro, my whole life I never fought you for anything. I can give up on everything. Just give Linda back to me." Alan chuckled. "Ken, did you ever respect Linda? Did you ever see her as a person? Is she just something you can toss aside and pick up whenever you want?" Alan lightly tapped his fingers on the table. "Besides, what could you ever compete with me for? Whether it's the company or Linda, it's all based on merit." Ken, embarrassed and furious, swept everything off Alan's desk onto the floor. "Linda likes me. Once I come back, she'll come back to me, too. You're confident. Do you think someone who's been repeatedly abandoned would return to you without any resentment?" Compared to Ken's mess, Alan remained composed and steady. "Brother, I trusted you so much." "Alan." I heard a commotion in Alan's study. Opening the door, I saw Ken trying to hit Alan. I knew Ken couldn't beat Alan, but I still rushed to protect him. I glared at Ken. Causing trouble outside is one thing, but attacking his brother. "Linda, listen to me. I didn't mean to deceive you. If I had known my brother liked you, I would have never let him take care of you instead. I let you down, but I've realized my mistake. We can forget about the breakup text. Linda, let's start over." I was confused. I thought breaking up through a text meant it was over between us, especially since Ken is so prideful. I never expected him to come back for me. 7. I never liked you. Why are you mad? You never liked me either. Ken staggered a bit. "No, it's not like that. I do like you. While I was abroad, I became even more sure that I liked you. I even bought a ring. Ken quickly pulled out a ring. If you're willing, we can get engaged. I'm serious this time. She wasn't willing. Alan held me close. Your sister-in-law's almost showing, and you're still not over it. I glanced down at my stomach. How is it showing? Wait, I blushed. Alan and I never had a thing. I told Ken, the one I've always liked is your brother, and we've already broken up. You should really sort out your feelings and be with Shirley. Ken persisted. I have sorted out my feelings. I like you, not Shirley. Are you saying this because you're jealous? I promise I'll keep my distance from Shirley. Linda, please give me another chance. But I just looked at him calmly and then shook my head. It was the first time I saw Ken so heartbroken. In the end, Alan had someone come up and escort Ken out. Because I dumped Ken, he probably couldn't face it and was down for a few days. People kept calling me, asking me to pick up a drunk Ken from the bar. At first, I explained patiently that I wasn't his girlfriend, but after many calls, I just blocked unknown numbers. But true to his playboy nature, he soon had someone new by his side. Linda, you're not the only one for me. He snuggled up to his new girlfriend, showing off in public. Great. I let out a long breath. Maybe my relief was too obvious. There was a flicker of hurt in his eyes. Ken let go of the girl and walked toward me with red eyes. He grabbed my hand. Linda, do you even have a heart? How can you say you don't like me just like that? I admit it was wrong to push you to my brother. But didn't I apologize? What more do you want? I know my brother saying you're showing was just to annoy me. I never wanted to break up. I do like you. That girl was just an actress I hired. Linda, why won't you give me a way out? A circle of classmates gathered around to watch the drama unfold. A real-life love chase. How could we miss this? So even the prince can take a fall. I pulled my hand back. Staring into Ken's eyes, I said, word by word, I'm not causing a scene. The breakup is real. And I really don't like you. You say you like me, but I've never felt it. I don't want to play house with you and Shirley anymore. The one you should really be with is Shirley, not me. I walked past him and out. Where are you going? I turned back. My boyfriend is waiting for me downstairs to go home together. Your boyfriend? Who is it? Your brother. I looked at him openly. Alan. I walked away without looking back, leaving a group of classmates whispering, wow, this plot is so intense. Whoa, isn't Ken's brother the real prince? Campus male lead Ken demoted to second male lead. Don't you know Alan? He's a rising star in the business circle. Just got on the latest rich list. When's it my turn to be the female lead? The crowd dispersed. Ken was left standing there alone. When my parents found out I was with Alan, they came to see me with big smiles. Linda, if you had told us you liked Alan, we wouldn't have forced you to be with Ken. We were hard on you, but it was for your own good. From childhood to now, we never lacked in providing for you. Exactly, Linda, you should understand our good intentions as parents. We just want you to marry well. I didn't say a word, politely seeing them out. The bond of family can't be severed, and their nurturing can't be repaid. But I would no longer obey them blindly. I wasn't their pliable daughter anymore. I wouldn't be kind to them, because once I did, they'd latch onto me like leeches, using me to pave the way for their son. Not a chance. Later, I heard Ken and Shirley got together, but they fought every other day. Eventually, Shirley left for overseas studies in frustration, and Ken didn't try to stop her. That day, I got a text from Shirley. Of all Ken's women, only you made me feel threatened. In hindsight, all these years, I've been pretty childish. The malicious supporting character in novels was probably based on me. I figured you endured so much, because you never loved Ken. I admire you. You're probably the clearest headed among us. Now that I've hit rock bottom, I know it's time to let go. I'm going to find my own life. No need to reply to this text. We probably won't meet again. I wish us both bright futures. Alan noticed my gaze. He put down his files. What's up? I rushed into his arms, expressing my love. I really like you. Alan chuckled. Yeah, I love you too. So happy, extra. Aloni got a call from my troublesome brother during a meeting. At first, I didn't want to answer, but I accidentally picked up while trying to hang up. Just as I was about to hang up again, I heard Ken's voice on the other end. "Eight bro, can you take care of Linda for me?" Hearing this, Alan's lips curved up a bit. He gestured to pause the meeting, stood up, and walked out, leaving the company employees staring at each other, puzzled. What's going on? Alan always keeps a poker face. And he laughed after taking a call. Bro, are you willing to take care of Linda for me? Sure, he answered. He looked calm on the surface, but his hand holding the phone was trembling. What a stroke of luck. The end.